Hello YouTube, W&J's Handy Dad here. Today we're going to show you how to fix your washing machine that won't drain. There's basically three most likely causes. I'm going to cover the two that are the most likely. The third one is just a bad, basically, computer chip in your washer, and you're going to see us remove that anyway. So I mean, if you were going to replace that, you'll see that happening. But most likely it's one of two things. It's either a bad drain motor or a clogged up drain. And this one, I've already pulled the drain completely out, cleaned it out, soaked it in bleach, ran clear water through it, so it's definitely not that problem. So we're going to tackle the motor today, and while I do that, I'm going to show you how to access the hose if you needed to do that as well. So our first step is going to be to open up your auxiliary drain and drain out all the water. And once you've done that, then you can plug up that hose and begin disassembling. So you can actually do this just through the rear of the washer. It's going to be a little bit tougher. It's certainly easier to remove the front panel of the washer, and to do that on this particular model you have to remove the top of the washer to get to the mounting bolts that are behind here. So I'm going to have to slide the washer away from the wall. As you know, washers are heavy objects and not always easy to move around, and even me being as strong as I am, I have a torn bicep right now, so it's not as easy as it used to be. I should just manhandle this thing, but I'll get it away from the wall enough to remove the top panel, and this time I'm going to remove the front panel. Like I said, when I did the drain pipe, I did that through the rear. Before you begin, obviously you want to unplug it, or like in our case we have a power strip, turn the power strip off. If you don't have an appliance dolly, and if you don't have the strength to move the washer yourself, this is what I found works very well. So what I do is I put a regular dolly in front of the washer, and then I put what you might call a come along, ratcheting tie down strap around it, making sure I don't catch the hoses in the back, and then just basically secure it to the dolly. And that seems to work well to allow it to kind of roll away from the wall. The back of the washer has 4 Phillips screws, 2 there, 2 on the opposite side of that. So basically there's 2 of these little plastic things. When you remove the 4 screws, that allows you to remove the top piece, which basically kind of lifts and slides off. This is the back panel. There's 4 Phillips screws, 2 on that side, 2 on that side, and that gives you, once you take the top of the washer off, in this back panel you've got access to quite a bit, including being able to remove the entire hose system out of here. See, it just kind of slides back and then up to come off. One tip I wanted to share with you: it is not okay to turn these off when they're under pressure. So like right now, the water to the house is on, and so there's water in here. If you turn those off while they're pressure, they will break inside just enough to leak, so that then when you actually need to turn them off, you won't be able to turn them completely off. So the proper way to do this, if you're going to have to turn these off, is to relieve the pressure. So basically, from this side of the hose there needs to be no pressure. While you're back here, you can remove these and clean them out. It's certainly a good idea to do, periodically. You can see they have these little filters in there, and you can soak those in vinegar. See, this one looks a little bit dirtier than the hot water one. So you just squeeze those and push through. Squeeze those and push through. This one, it's a little different than what you would expect. So you just unscrew, it actually just slides up. You don't have to pry it out of these, so just slide straight up and it'll come out. And that's basically how you get the whole drain system out. You have the one hose that you gotta pry off of there. You gotta remove that screw to get the front off. Piece is supposed to just pop out once you remove that one screw. I find you need a little plastic tool to kind of get on the sides, pop out the sides, and then it comes out. You see, it's just got just a little tiny retaining lip on each side that's holding it in. And there's one screw right there. You remove that lower screw and you remove the 6 across the top. You should be able to remove the whole front panel. So as you're pulling the door off, you need to disconnect that. That green hose is the one that's the drain, so if you're removing the hoses, you just unclamp it there and you can take it out and clean them all out. I've already done that, so we're just working on the motor today. Alright, so you just basically have squeeze clamps, 1, 2, 3 of them, and those hoses will all come off. And once you remove all the hoses, there's 2 bolts that you're going to need to undo with a socket. One's there, and one is up here. And there's 3 bolts that hold it in. They're 10mm bolts that look like that. 2 in the front and 1 in the back. And then you should be able to disconnect the electrical to get this whole piece out. So you got blue on the bottom, black on the top, on the side closest to the center. And you got brown on the top, black on the bottom, on the side. With those disconnected, this should come out. To get the drain pump off, it looks like there's 3 phillips screws that are holding it on. Hung up on this, so probably just need to loosen that. Yeah, see, so that's loose, and on the new one that doesn't turn at all. So I'm going to run some clean water through here, clean all this out, and put it back together. transfer this plastic cover over from the old to the new. Looks like it just kind of pries off of here. Very tight fit. So you can see how this one's broken because it turns, whereas this one will not turn. Installation is just a reversive removal. Just take your time. You removed a lot of different things, parts, clips, wires. So just take your time, put them all back in where they were. So the rubber feet fit in a very definite spot in there. And probably a good idea to take a photo of it before you disconnect anything. So I'm going to have to go back at my video now and remember, since these can get put on either way. I definitely think that's a poor design when you make something where you can put the wrong wires on, because putting the wires on wrong, best case scenario, it just makes the motor spin the wrong way. But worst case, obviously it could cause some electrical problems. So I'm going to make sure, since I did not document which way those wires were on there, I would recommend, now having done this, when you physically put this back in the washer, connect the electrical so you can kind of move it around and connect it, then sit it in its position, then bolt down those bolts, and lastly connect the hoses to it. That seems to be the easiest way to do this. So just check, make sure you put all the hoses back on, electrical, routed your little drain hose out the front, and you should be good and ready to start putting everything back together, reverse order that you removed it. Don't forget to connect the electrical. To put a single screw just to kind of keep this from falling off while you reattach the rubber seal to the door. Once you've secured the rubber ring all the way around, it's a little bit of a pain. You just kind of work it around. Spring retainer back on. We've replaced all the screws on the top, and the screw that goes in the bottom there. The retaining ring on that gasket is a real pain, so if you don't have that tool, you're really going to have struggles getting it on. We eventually got it on as a two-person team using those plastic trim tools. Don't forget to reconnect all your electrical or you'll be in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, these are a lot easier to access than getting into the bottom. And that just snaps back in, and mine has one screw. Some of them I think have more than one screw, so you just want to check if you get more than one screw. Took this hose out, then you just want to make sure you put everything back in. Like I said, this piece will just slide right into place and then screw in. You don't have to try to snap these in sideways. And then you just want to make sure you got the hoses. There's one that you had to disconnect. It's all attached to this hose. And this is what it routed like. Goes up to the front there, around that piece, and then the green tip is the end of this hose. So that is the top. It just slides in, like I said, and goes to that hose right there. Reinstalling this panel, you want to start at the top, and then it will snap into the bottom. If you try to do the bottom first, it won't go on. Screws on the sides, 2 on each side. The top panel you'll feel that there's kind of a down and then slide in, and then these pieces that go back in here, and these don't have to be torqued down very tight. So just snug them up. So just make sure you've snugged these up, there's no leaks. Make sure you put those filters back in, turn your water on, and if you're not seeing any leaks, then you should be ready to go and try out your washer. Hope this video was helpful. Appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and please share my channel with your friends. Thank you.